I was going to film this later, but I've decided to film it now. So this is my April TBR. If you don't know how my TBRs work, basically I pick a theme and then pick 4 books, and those are the 4 books that I have to read during the month, and then I'm allowed to read whatever else I want. So basically, I'm setting myself a minimum of 4 books. And each book has its own individual criteria that it has to meet. So for the first book, the criteria is that it simply has to be a physical book. And for that, anyway, my theme this month is sequels. So for the first sequel, for the physical book, I picked The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. This is the 4th book in the Percy Jackson series. I've been wanting to read this for so long. I literally all last month was like, I will start this book. One of the reasons I held off start on my TBR until the 4th was because I was going to go to the library and I would actually have a different theme if I had gone to the library, because I would have been able to pick up some other books. But I haven't been there yet, so this is my April theme. And we follow Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson isn't expecting freshman orientation to be any fun, but when a mysterious mortal acquaintance appears on campus, followed by demon cheerleaders, things quickly move from bad to worse. In this 4th installment of the blockbuster series, time is running out as war between the Olympians and the evil Titan Lord Kronos draws near. Even the safe haven of Camp Half-Blood grows more vulnerable by the minute as Kronos' army prepares to invade its once impenetrable borders. To stop the invasion, Percy and his demigod friends must set out on a quest through the labyrinth, a sprawling underground world with stunning surprises at every turn. I seriously loved the first 3 Percy Jackson books: The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, and The Titan's Curse. And I love Greek mythology as a whole, and I love the series, and The second book on my TBR is, the requirement is that it has to be a Nook book, or an ebook. For that, I picked The Great Convergence by Joseph Lalo, which is the 2nd book in the Book of Deacon fantasy series. The Book of Deacon was seriously one of the best books I read last year, and I picked it up for free. It was a free ebook. The sequel wasn't. The sequel cost like $3, but it's part of a trilogy, and I've started reading it this month. I'm about 50 pages in. And the Book of Deacon and The Great Convergence are both really long books. The Book of Deacon was over 900 pages, and The Great Convergence is over 800 pages. And they don't have chapters. That's like my biggest complaint about this book, and the thing that's put me off reading it for the longest time is that neither of the books have chapters. The sections are separated by hashtags, and you can go 200 pages without a hashtag. But the story immediately draws you in, and it's so good. Basically, it continues following Miranda and her dragon pet Min. Now they are going to... Their mission is to convince the Chosen One of his destiny. So, it's actually a great twist where the protagonist isn't the hero of the story. It's her job to convince the hero that he's the hero. And I loved the Book of Deacon last year, and I'm really excited for this. I almost picked The Throne of Fire, which is another book by Rick Riordan, but I decided to not go with 2 books by Rick Riordan and pick the longer book that I really wanted to read, but just like the size of it is daunting. And I am so, I want to read it so bad. For my adult book, because classics generally don't have sequels, I picked Judgment, which is a Magic the Gathering novel. This is the 3rd book in the Odyssey cycle, the first one being Odyssey and the second one being Chainer's Torment. This is actually the set that I started playing Magic the Gathering in, so this is nostalgia. I got about 4 chapters into this, and then I hit my reading slump last year, and I just never picked it up, so I am really excited to get into it. It's by Will McDermott, and this is Jessica on the cover, but the main character appears to be Kamal, which is her brother. And I'm really excited for this. I've shown you how many Magic the Gathering books now. I'm seriously kind of addicted to Magic the Gathering books. They're such great fantasy books. And for my book guilt book, because even though I started reading Judgment, I didn't pick that for my book guilt. I picked that for my adult pick. For my book guilt pick, I picked Specials by Scott Westerfield. Again, another book I started reading. I actually stopped reading this one because I started it like immediately after finishing Pretties, and I needed the break and didn't take the break. But we follow Tally Youngblood as she is made into a special from a Pretty. And I actually liked the series. I read the first one before all the hype came out about it, so I was able to just separate the hype, and it's also dystopian, which happens to be my favorite genre that I don't actually write because most of my stuff is fantasy. Dystopian, it's the genre I wish I could write, but I'm terrible at, so I really enjoy reading it. But this is actually my sister's book, so because I don't actually own the special series. It should be a really quick read, probably a couple days, but considering I have 9 books. And carryover. Carryovers are books that aren't on my TBR, but I have been reading them for a couple months. Because if I notice a book is starting to get carried over too many months, then I stick it on my TBR and then force myself to finish it. So, for carryover, we have 3 books. The first book is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. This book I actually started in February, so all of March I didn't finish it throughout all of March. I actually stopped reading it about halfway through March because I started to slump, and I knew that reading a classic wasn't the thing to get me out of the slump. I actually turned to reading the Naruto manga because I think that was what I wanted. Because I generally find when I'm slumping, it's because I want to read something specific and haven't read it yet. Also, Forbidden by Ted Dekker and Tosca Lee, which is an adult dystopian novel. I actually stopped reading that one too. I actually started in March, and I stopped reading it because it's a book about a society where all of the emotions have been removed from people, and the 2 characters who have their emotions restored, the very first thing they want to do is have sex. And just, really, is that really the first thing that you would experience when you got your emotions back? Is sexual desire? I don't think it is. I would think that you would have other emotions. Anger, for starters, for having your emotions removed from you. And the final carryover book is The Money Book for the Young, Fabulous, and Broke by Suze Orman. I do quite frequently have a book I'm reading that isn't a story. It's sort of like, it's nonfiction. This is the nonfiction book. Because I figure I should probably start learning about my finances now, before they get really fucked up in the future. I totally just said the F word, didn't I? Sorry. And so that is what I'm reading. I'm about 95 pages into it. Last month it was a Declutter Your Life. This month it's finances. In February it was ethics. And then I have 2 more books that are on my TBR this month. Camp NaNoWriMo is this month, and I say NaNoWriMo, NaNoWriMo interchangeably, so I wanted to read a book about writing, so I picked the Write Great Fiction dialogue book, because dialogue is actually the thing I have the most trouble with, because my characters always sound like me. And so I really liked the characters' emotions and viewpoint, and the plot and structure ones, and the part that I read of descriptions and settings. So this is the book I've decided to kind of help me along with my dialogue writing this month. And the book that I'm currently reading is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I'm about 30 pages into it. This will be actually in a haul soon. But I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I did 30 pages when I was 30 pages into Twilight, so I might actually like this book by Stephanie Meyer. And if I do, I can thank Books and Quills and Little Book Owl for that. And yeah, that's my April TBR, done in one take at the 11-minute mark. Alright, so, rambly, blah blah blah. See you soon, TTYL, and I will be back with normal videos soon, on my actual camera, so I can't actually watch myself doing this like I'm doing right now, which is why I look really weird. And until, yeah, I already said TTYL, didn't I? Bye.